All right, I just did this video. It probably took me 30 minutes, and I found out the battery was dead, and I made all kind of powerful talking points, so this one's gonna suck by comparison, so this is just fucked up. But anyways, but I'll give you probably an abbreviated version of it. And I have all the major talking points written down, so it shouldn't matter too much. But anyways, all right, so what I was saying is that, like Donald Trump today said that it's not artificial intelligence, it's pure genius or something like that. And what this indicates is that Donald Trump has an unhealthy fixation with the power of artificial intelligence. It's not just Donald Trump. See, the government has begun to understand exactly how powerful technology is. They're starting to grasp that. And so, technology, if you think of the United States Constitution as the real advent of the rapid progress of technology, then we'll say that it took 250 years for us to arrive at our current state of technology. And so, in 2 years, we'll advance by exactly the same amount. And this happens every 2 years. This is continually happening. And so, what the government has begun to do is to develop this like a sick fascination with technology. And so, in other words, technology represents power. It represents power over their enemies. It represents like weapons technology. All this stuff is tied into technology stuff. It's kind of like the end of the movie Alien 3, where she's about to fall into this steel mill or this lava pit or whatever you want to call it. She's about to drop herself into this in order to kill herself and kill this alien inside of her that's going to kill everybody. And these psycho sick scientists are walking up on her and they're saying, you cannot jump in there. You got to give me that weapon, because it's human nature to develop these sick fascinations, at least at the governmental level, and really with everything. But the government has a natural tendency to want, weapons, to their own demise, potentially. I've witnessed this firsthand. It's actually insane. And so what I'm saying is, seriously, it's the crazy shit. You wouldn't even believe it. When it comes to like having the ability to use like a massive weapon, where they really shouldn't be able to, kind of, but it's just, that's all they're driven by. And it's just really crazy what goes on. So what I'm saying is just that type of power, they've begun to understand that, that's real power. That's like raw power technology. It's just constantly advancing at a faster and faster rate. And it's actually mind-blowing when you think about it, exactly how fast technology is advancing. And so what I'm saying is that, anytime you have something that you're beginning to become fixated on, then you perceive threats where they aren't. They're pouring a lot of money into microchip processing. They're pouring a lot of money into quantum computing. They're pouring a lot of money, a ton of money into, they've got slated $500 billion to pour into quantum computing. That's our money, bear in mind. Okay. They're pouring money now they're putting money into artificial intelligence, And so, and this is what happens with fixation. A lot of times when people are fixated with something, the thing that they're fixated on the most, the thing that they're fixated upon, becomes that which is most threatened by their own fixation, because they're imagining threats where they aren't. And so they know that that the economy's in bad shape, and they probably feel like this kind of thing needs to be preserved. Technology, we can't, even if we let this entire fucking place fall apart, we can't let that fall apart. And so one of my theories is that, they're pumping so much money, taxpayer money, into this shit, just trying to prop it up to keep it on life support while everything else falls apart. But unfortunately, that's just another, example of how they can really be destructive. And anytime you remove laissez-faire, free market principles from any market, then the end result is that you destroy the market. It's the invisible hand, what they call the invisible hand, that really dictates the advance of technology. And anytime you start to inject all this capital into any industry, then the end result is always going to be the diminishment of that. The invisible hand is the market, it's the people. I choose this product over this product because this product's better. Anytime the government comes in behind the scenes and says, oh, I'm going to prop them both up, now they're just going to survive either way. Whether you choose one over the other doesn't even really matter. They're getting money from the taxpayer. You know what I mean? This is actually going on. You know what I mean? And that's incredibly dangerous and is incredibly destructive to this country. And a lot of people should be much more worried about that. All right. Now, let me talk to you real quick as well. Well, let me talk to you first about, okay, so I'll get into you with quantum computing, but first I want to talk about, there's a talking point going around that because of artificial intelligence, that now we might need universal basic income. And this is coming from the same people that really promote universal basic income all the time. And I believe this individual in particular is a Fabian communist. Wolf in sheep's clothing, they call him Fabian communist wolf in sheep's clothing. I even think Donald Trump might be a Fabian communist wolf in sheep's clothing. And I know for a fact that Alex Jones is. It's really easy to see with Alex Jones if you've listened to him enough. I don't know if he's changing now, but I think he is. I mean, I really made an embarrassment out of him. But anyways, there's this talking point going around. So they're thinking that because AI is going to come and take our jobs. This is the same concern they had in the Industrial Revolution. These machines are going to come and take our jobs. Who's going to dig the holes? What about the hole diggers? They're going to lose their jobs. You know what I mean? Well, what came out of the Industrial Revolution was a lot of wealth. Now, this is what's going to happen. Okay, so you're a business. Finally figured this out, exactly the argument that I want to make on this. All right, so you're a business, and you bring in AI, you lose 3 or 4 employees. Okay, this is what happens as an end result. You have more money, more capital. They've got to go find a job doing something else. Maybe they start a restaurant. I'm always asking myself, why aren't there more restaurants around here? What if we had more restaurants? What if we had a world where we had more restaurants? And I was thinking to myself, one of these days the economy will be real strong and I'll have all kind of restaurant options around here. Because I really I'm in a really nice area where there's a lot of options, like a lot, but it's still like I've eaten all of it and I'm just tired of it. You know what I mean? And it would just be really cool if we had more restaurants. And so now think of it this way. This guy now has more money. What's he do? What's he want to do with the money? He likes to go to eat at restaurants. You know what I'm saying? Like that's one of the things he likes. Now that he has artificial intelligence, he doesn't have to hire these people for all this stuff. He likes to go eat at restaurants. One of my favorite jobs I've ever had was working in the restaurant industry. I didn't make as much money as I wanted, but it didn't bother me. I just loved it. And to be honest, what it'll do is then as an end result of a situation like this, now this guy, instead of going to work for this guy, because artificial intelligence took his job, now he's going to go work and start a restaurant somewhere. You see what I'm saying? So the economy didn't lose anything. You know what I mean? More money, more jobs. That's what artificial intelligence is doing. More capital on more options. That's what I'm going to say. More money, more options. That's what's coming straight out of it. And nothing less. You know what I mean? And once people start to get their head around that, I think it's going to change the argument on artificial intelligence quite a bit. So I look forward to that becoming a talking point one of these days. And so, but anyways, yeah, think about it from that perspective. There was something in there. I knew I was trying to pinpoint something that would make the most sense about why artificial intelligence does not threaten jobs. I mean, I just knew just from history that it really wouldn't, but now I understand it a little bit better. So anyways, so with quantum computing, it's basically like the government going to the microchip companies and be like, just make me a real powerful computer. Here's the taxpayer money. They won't mind. $1 trillion, whatever. Just make me a real powerful one. Really, you think that you can just have one like this is Burger King? Just have it your way. Hey, man, what would you like? Oh, I just like a real powerful computer. Make it real more powerful than anything we have. The taxpayer will pay for it. See, they're actually in fantasy land now. They think this is magic. You see what I'm saying? Because it's blown their mind so much they don't understand it. You know what I mean? This is scary. And let me tell you exactly why it's so scary. Because now we're talking about the misallocation of engineers. We're talking about engineers who operate at the microscopic level. Okay? Okay, so here's what happens when you have the misallocation of engineers. Okay, now, first thing that's going to happen, they're gonna say, oh wow, it's the yearly pay for an engineer will go up because there won't be as many, and they're just going to draw in all these new engineers. That sounds great, right? It's going to be great. No, it's not going to be great because, see, quantum computing is never really going to work. Not like that, because they've already taken the invisible hand straight out of it. Think of it this way. If quantum computing was really going to work, the microchip companies would put their own money into it. And they would only put it into it in a way that guaranteed some kind of, there's something there, like a real promise. You know what I mean? Like, we know we can get a return, some kind of return on this. You know what I mean? But the government's come in and said, oh, well, I'm going to make this fantasy come true today. Now, that's not how that works, okay? In the real world, not the fantasy world where we all want things to happen today. We all want the, eternal life technology that's just going to make everything turn to light and we become like balls of light and we just fly into the sky. Yes, we're all ready for that. But what I'm saying is that even though that's probably going to happen in the not too distant future with the rate of technology advancing, that you're not actually just going to get that, you know what I'm saying, from pouring money into this business, okay? And what's going to end up happening instead, because you've got to trust this, you know what I mean? You've got to trust your instincts on this. If it was a viable option, they would sink their own money right into it. There would be no hesitation whatsoever. You know what I mean? And and this is what's going to happen. So once we start to have so much misallocated engineers in the market of quantum computing, there's no market there. It hasn't actually succeeded. And yes, it's interesting. I've watched documentaries on it. They're sinking so much money into it in China, in the United States. They're pouring their citizens' money into this shit. It's not coming back. They're ruining any viability that actual market may actually have. You know what I mean? Because, like I said before, it's not that there is zero viability. It's just that you're never going to arrive at that without competition. You see what I'm saying? You can't go in and just pump a bunch of money into something and then, technology come right out of it. Never in the course of human history has that ever happened. So what's really kind of scary, as well as what it's doing to the engineer market, is what the potential that's being potentially squandered right now for this type of technology. It may actually have viability. You see what I'm saying? And that's a real concern as well. Because if it does have real viability, we for sure need our hands out of it. You know what I mean? Because that could be amazing. That could be something that could actually do a lot of good. We may actually have something there. You know what I mean? Like to skip the exponential growth curve altogether and go to the next level. That's actually possible. And so from what I understand of it, and then so we have to stay out of it. It's like, goddamn, just don't destroy it. You know what I mean? It's like this. It's like, oh, it's so amazing. Let's destroy it. They don't mean to, but that's what they're doing. Now, let me explain something to you. That's bad. Okay, and we got to fight that kind of thing. And what really scares me about this kind of stuff, I don't hear people fighting this. I don't hear it. You know what I mean? It should be going on all the time, man. People should be complaining about this constantly. That's what fucks me up about it. And in a way, it's almost inappropriate because of who I am. I'm actually going to fix all this shit. So why am I getting so mad about it? why I'm getting so mad about it has more to do with the fact that people aren't complaining about it and what it says about human nature and what's going to happen after I'm dead. Because this is actually really fucked up, okay? People should not be doing this. People should not be ignoring it. People should not be doing it. People should not be celebrating it. You know, these fucking people are going to show, oh yeah, infinite technology. You know what I'm saying? This is what it feels like. Donald Trump, it's not artificial intelligence, it's genius intelligence. I mean, seriously, it's what it feels like. It's just crazy. You know, it's like, artificial intelligence summit. You got the chip people coming in. It's like, you know, maybe that's a little dramatic, but you understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, it's just that, okay, so let's continue to talk about this for a second. All right, so, and I'll be fair with you. There are instances where, you know, the government has come in and helped get technology off the ground. I'll go into that with you as well, okay? But we're not there yet. All right, so what happens when all of these microchip engineers, the bottom falls out of quantum computing, because it's going to at some point. And so what happens when the bottom falls out of it? What happens when, I mean, it's not that the bottom will fall out, it's just that it won't succeed as we're pursuing it in this manner. And then it'll come to a head at some point, and they'll say, okay, well, this isn't actually going to work. Okay, we've pumped $500 billion into it. I don't know how, they're probably going to do that this year. I mean, I don't even know. It's just so much fucking money. It's like, this is like Iraq war amounts of money. Like, holy shit. You know what I mean? Like, are you even kidding me right now? Why aren't you talking about this? You know what I mean? Like, all fucking day long. I mean, at least for a while. You know what I mean? $500 billion. Anyways, what I'm saying is, it's just, you know, so what happens when this market falls apart? When the whole operation falls apart, and they're like, okay, shit, this isn't working. Because really, it hasn't been working. It's not going to, the way that we're approaching it. And it's just, you know, what happens when they finally say, there's really no rate of return here. Like, the technology is just not, we're not getting there in this manner. And they won't even actually realize it's probably because of the government, and there may be other things that are factoring into it. I just know that it's not there yet. What are they going to do when, we can't just keep putting money into this, hand over fist, good money after bad, it's not working. Eventually it'll happen. It may not happen, but eventually it should happen. Okay, so this happens. Okay, this is what's going to happen. There's going to be a saturation of microchip engineers in the entire microchip market. That means that a lot of these, that means the yearly rate, the average yearly rate that they can expect to earn from building microchips, engineering microchips, is going to go down because there's going to be an oversaturated market. So what's going to happen as a result is when qualified students come out of high school, top level, top of their class, valedictorian, all this kind of shit, you know, the very, very top of their class. And they're looking, okay, what kind of field am I looking to go into? I want to go into something I can make some money. Obviously, they're going to be thinking that. And they're going to be thinking, oh, well, I could go into law, I could go into microchips. And they're going to go, I'm going to go into law because there's not a lot of money to be made in there. And the dumbasses will go into microchips. Now we got dumbasses making our microchips because of this kind of shit. You see what I'm saying? I mean, the residual effects of this are very, very bad. Okay, so it's just bad. I mean, this is the very best. That's the best thing our society has to offer. That's the best, like, technology is, especially microchip technology. That's the real wealth of the nation right there. You know, that's the real wealth of the nation right there. You know what I mean? And we should really be paying attention to what the hell we're doing. All right, I wanted to tell you. So there are instances, in all fairness, where the government has stepped in and said, I'm going to, you know, put some money into this new technology, and the technology's taken off as a result. Okay? And I had to fall on my sword a little bit today and be like, Okay, so that's, I was talking to artificial intelligence, and I asked it, what I was able to determine from it, was that it's happening as a result of you don't have enough capital. You see what I'm saying? So the business doesn't have enough capital to secure the loan. So what that means is that it's because the banking industry is so consolidated. Because there aren't enough small banks. You see what I mean? Because of the Federal Reserve is a Ponzi scheme, inside job, conspiracy. You call it a conspiracy. Some people don't cling to the word conspiracy as much as they used to. That used to be a big thing in like the late 2000s. It was like, oh, you said it's a conspiracy. You know what I mean? Like, you're a conspiracy theorist. It's like, yeah, that's all that's ever really happened in the course of human history is people conspiring to be in control of the government. You know what I mean? That's why we have checks and balances. If there was, it's either people conspiring when they go. It's like a lobbyist conspires when he goes. It's like a window company could go to the mayor and offer him money and say, "Can you offer me a little?" He's conspiring. You know what I mean? This is all, the government's a big conspiracy. That's all it is. Held together by checks and balances. No, it's not just a big conspiracy, but essentially, but what I'm saying is just, and so some people get hung up on that kind of thing. No, it is a way for businesses to take advantage of the market and take advantage of the monetary system and things like this. But the thing of it is that it's consolidated the banking industry, and the end result has been that there's a lot of just really big banks, massive banks just everywhere, like Bank of America. You just see them on every corner. It's like, what the fuck? How you get that big? You know what I mean? And you really don't. And so they don't want to work with the small guys because they're so big. It's not like a big moneymaker for them. And so that's really what's causing that. And if we had a deregulated, well, they need a little regulation, but if we had like a unconsolidated, banking industry, where there was no, autonomous entity, even if it just fell under the control of Congress alone, that would be a tremendously huge step. And, just to have it set up where people go to a bank and it's like, the bank is then looking at you going, okay, how do I make money on this deal? You know what I mean? It's like the bank is thinking things like, and I know this is basic 101 economics, you probably already understand what I'm about to say, but the bank is basically saying, I've got to I'm going to lose my shirt over this if this doesn't work out. You know what I mean? That's my house right there. I'm going to have to sell my house if these deals don't work out, if these loans don't secure properly, if these people don't qualify for these loans. You know what I mean? Then I'll be giving loans to people who won't pay them back. I'm going to be fucked. You know what I mean? So, the whole thing with banking is just a much preferable option. You know what I mean? To the government coming in and saying, oh, we're going to issue grants and this kind of thing. And if you would ask me to say, oh, well, what do you decide? Is it okay to do the grants if we're living under consolidated banking? I would say no. I would say probably, it's not like a 50-50 thing. It's like, it would be more like a 60-40 thing. It would just be more at to your disadvantage to say, it would be more to your disadvantage to say, to set that example, for future generations. And in reality, it's just, I don't know. But, when it comes down to, an unconsolidated banking industry, 100% of the time, that's just that is the course of action. You know what I mean? Let the banking industry work. Don't get all mystified and demystified. Technology. I'm going taxpayer money. Destruction. Don't be a wrecking ball on our most precious asset, please. I know it's amazing. Don't get caught up in it. Don't destroy us, our technology, you know. And I don't think that'll happen, but you know, it is scary. And but yeah, you know, this, what I'm saying is just, you know, 100% of the time, it'll always be to your advantage. Because look at it. Even if the government can come in with grants and say, oh, one in, you know, just, it probably wouldn't be 1 in 10. I don't know what the percentages are, but if you're like, okay, 1 in 10, you know, works out, you know, the percentage of success rate coming from an unconsolidated small banking industry is just going to be always better. But it doesn't surprise me that a lot of these technologies come straight out of government funding when you consider the way the banking industry is working. It's just really fucked up. But anyways, yeah, I would say that that is the course of action. Absolutely, 100% of the time, the government should never be involved in anything like that, and it's really going to cause a lot of problems if we don't get this thing resolved.